And good evening to everyone. It is May the 30th already. How quickly time flies, right? And I thought this evening the day before the final day of the month, I would just talk a little bit about one of our Salesian blesseds. His feast day was yesterday, May the 29th. His name is Blessed Joseph Kowalski. He was both a priest and a martyr. And young man, died early at the age of 31. Well, actually, his life was taken from him in the concentration camp at Auschwitz in 1942. Born in 1911 and became a priest on May the 29th, that was yesterday's day, in 1938. And in 1941 was captured with 11 other members of his community in Krakow and brought to different camps. And he was brought in June of 1941 to Auschwitz, where he continued to minister as priest, both secretly and externally, to so many of the people and the prisoners there. Publicly, even, he gave absolution to so many at a mass. There was a mass execution, and he publicly extended and practiced his priesthood even there. Became known to everyone, the guards, the inmates, just as simply as Father Joseph. And at the end of his sojourn there, he was brought there in June of 41, and in later on in his ministry, he was there at Auschwitz, at the concentration camp. He was publicly excoriated many times for being a priest. The guards especially were very brutal to him and severely beat him often. One particular time, they brought him out, and publicly they told him, they mandated that he trample on the rosary. And here was a Salesian who's lived his life dedicated, as I said, with a devotion to Mary, refused to do so. And again, they thoroughly beat him, almost killed him that night. But it wasn't long after that they took him out one night. They beat him severely again, and it's suspected that they drowned him. We'll never know for sure. His body was found the next morning, and he was burnt with all the other corpses that died that day. It was Pope John Paul II who in 1999, along with 108 other Polish martyrs, beatified him and made him blessed. What a wonderful transition at the end of the month of May to see what courage and what great faith it was that encouraged him to be able to stand up to all of these other beatings and the horror that he lived in, and to write a final letter to his family saying that in spite of everything, in spite of all the surroundings, in spite of all the grief and the misery, he was very much at peace because he found God's hand very close in his life, God walking with him every day. Would that we could say the same, and our surroundings are not anywhere near the misery and the horror that he confronted day in and day out for the last 2 years of his life. Someone who was dedicated to Mary, and who Mary stood by him, and her son Jesus stood by him as well, and made his stay as bearable as possible, because he was in the service of God, ministering to others in all that he could, living his priesthood. I only wish I have the same courage and the same fortitude and the same faith to sustain me in my years of ministry, let alone surrounded by the horror and the debauchery and the misery and the barbarism that he lived, and was still able to be a light in the darkness for others. May we decide to do likewise, be a light in the darkness for others. Have a strong devotion to Mary. Pray your rosary on a daily basis. And in doing so, may you find yourself drawing closer to God, being ever more closer to the God light in you, and letting others share that God light in your everyday meeting with them. draw closer to God, to draw closer to Jesus' Mother Mary, and in so doing, you'll find yourself peaceful, joyful, hopeful, and loving. Now, it doesn't come easy, but it'll come. Okay? Have trust in God, and may we say the words, Jesus, I trust in you. Mary, help of Christians, pray for me. Mary, help of Christians, pray for us. God bless you all and have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow.